It's 2007 Lexus ES350 doing as you can see, the stud's missing right here, but I guess they had some play in the tires, so wheel bearing, wheel hub assembly. Anytime you do a wheel hub, always replace the wheel bearing, because when you knock this or press this out, it's usually going to damage the wheel bearing. You got two types. These are pressed in. There's also a bolt-in kind, which is easier to replace. This one right here, starting off, you got a 30mm axle nut, which is a 12 spline. So you got this cotter pin right here. I believe that's a 17mm castle nut. Knock that out. You're gonna hold this still, turn that counterclockwise. Same for the bottom one. We're gonna have to take out the lower ball joint nuts. Last, we'll do that, and then we'll take off two bolts holding on. First, we're gonna do this. That way, I can turn the tire easy. Then we'll do this. Take off the rotor, do that, and then do the ball joint last. Okay, one thing I forgot to mention, two things maybe. Wheel speed sensor, that's a 10mm. This tie rod is actually a 19mm. These are 22mm right here. And these are 18mm on the back. Your wheel speed sensor, this just pulls off. I like to use a needle tip on an air hammer to knock those in. That was really rusted. And that's why I work in this order, so that I can do this last. And take out this cotter pin. Now it's easy to get to this lower ball joint nut. That's gonna be a 19 also. And then I can just hit this with a hammer and then pull off the whole entire steering knuckle. And at that point, I can actually probably start doing some of it now, but we're gonna take off this little dust barrier, and then we'll hit, I'm gonna tap the wheel hub right here with a big socket and just hit it hard, knock it through. And then there's probably gonna be a snap ring behind this, and then I'll press it out, or hit it with a hammer, whichever one, but it's gonna have to be pressed in. So it's a lot easier to get it out at this point, but see that? It's for your wheel speed sensor, that hole. And you can just put a screwdriver right in here, and that little slot just pop right out. Just like I thought, it's a snap ring right there. So you want to squeeze at that indent and that indent. Sometimes I'll hit it like that just to loosen it up. Just hit it with a hammer like this just to loosen it. Then I'm gonna take a big socket, probably smash on that, knock it through. You'll need a good snap ring set. I mean, normally these things can be a pain in the butt. So I'm gonna pull that out, spray it with some PB Blaster or something for lubrication. Go ahead and knock that out. My favorite little thing is I got this really big rotor, but I just use that. And of course, that sits in there like that. But sit it here, put a big socket, like a 30mm impact on it, 32 maybe. Hit the impact socket with a hammer, knock that out. It's just pretty fast for me. Now this part, snap rings on this side, right? So that means it has to be pressed in this way, pressed out this way. So just gotta find the adapter that fits. You're gonna need a wheel press, wheel hub kit, and then I'll show you how I set this up and everything when I'm done. So that's how I got it set up. Find your, see, it's got to go this way inside. So find your bearing that fits. Put your thing here. You'll need a big spacer. That. Put your cap on. These are both 32. and you'll have to turn this clockwise, hold that. So we're gonna put a 32 socket on both ends, turn this clockwise while holding that end. All right, so just kept turning it clockwise until it come out this end right here. So I used little bearing grease. Put a little grease on it on the inside, both sides, whatever. Do not hit this with a hammer. Now what you're gonna do is find one of these that fit on top perfectly. It has to be the exact same size, or just a hair smaller. This will be perfect right here. Then we're gonna drop this into here. Then we're gonna put the cup and everything on the other side, and then we're gonna do it the same way and turn it clockwise on the other side. So I got my bearing, that's the wheel bearing. This is the cap. It's a little off right now, but what we're gonna do is just get it down a little bit. And then I just got my bolt on the end that we're gonna tighten. This is like one of those big cap things on this caps of the gradient. I'm gonna turn this clockwise, hold this until it starts sucking it through all the way down. Now, see, this lip is off right here. It's a little this way too much. You see this little space here. So once I get it down a little bit, then I'm gonna loosen it and then get it perfect so that it doesn't get caught on the stern knuckle. So basically I got it in there. Once it starts going real good, you'll know this is a Astro. That's the part number, whatever. This is a really good wheel bearing kit. It'll put them in and suck them out real quick. I got some really crappy ones from Harbor Freight, and the threads get stripped. It takes forever because this bolt's not big enough. The grade wasn't right. And you just want to make sure it's flush down here. The way to really tell. Excuse me. You want to be able to get your snap ring right here on the back end. So once you see that you got a lip all the way around, you get your snap ring in there. You know what's in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the snap ring in, and then we'll press this guy in. Okay. So got the snap ring in there. All right, snap ring. And I just squeeze it until I got it down in a little bit and put one of these on and hit it down with a hammer. Now, this guy has to go in there. So, we're gonna slide him. Then, what you're gonna do is put one of these. And so, you put one of these on top, it's gotta fit perfect. Then, you put this through and then put your screw it on through here, and this is going to go in back up inside, holding this in still. Okay, so it's in there, and you just want this to be kind of even, and then this should spin freely without being wobbly at all. So you don't want any kind of play. If you got any play back and forth, then you might have messed this up, this bearing. Anyway, ready for reinstallation. I'm gonna just slide this right onto the lower knuckle, the lower ball joint, and then we're gonna slide this in there, put this on, put this back on top of the rotor, and then put this on, and you're done. That's it. So this is a pressed in wheel bearing, 2007 Lexus ES350.